Hey there, welcome to Black Amethyst Oracle. This is Carmen, and today at the time of recording, the moon is new in Aries. We're in Aries season, and I am absolutely inspired to take a look at all the tower energy I've been feeling around, seeing people experience and feeling a little bit myself, and really wanted to look into it, identify it if we can, sort of assess where we are, what's happening, and just get some advice about the shift and what we're being asked to see. Yeah, tower, we hate to see it. We see it coming and we fret a bit. But the truth is, once it all comes down, there's a peace and a stillness, and you can stand there in the rubble of the destruction with this truth that you now have the gift of using, moving forward. That's how I see it. It's never usually a lot of fun to go through, but the good news is once you're on the other side of it, it's absolutely anything is possible. Anything, you're rebuilding, and anything is possible. So in whatever way a tower moment or tower energy may be or have been affecting you recently or coming up, let's take a look. I have 3 different decks for 3 different groups. I chose these 3 crystals, and I had this like nagging feeling, and I looked back in my videos, and sure enough, I have put these 3 together before. I don't remember what I do, but I did. I looked and I did. And the funny other thing is that they just rotated a spot over. This one was in the 3rd spot, this was 1st, and this was 2nd, and now they've moved one, which to me, that was all intuitive, the choosing and where I put them. But to me, it just speaks about like moving on, to the next stage, so that's where we are. Let me introduce you to these and also let you know that I will be using another tarot deck to look at the energy of the tower, happening. I will be using Archetypes Oracle and Animal Spirit Oracle just to get a little more insight about the shift and what we're being asked to see. And, otherwise I like to keep it pretty open, and we'll see how it's going. My son's homesick, so I may have to stop and come back. Group number 1 is using this hemimorphic quartz with the Muse Tarot. Group number 2 is using this quartz from Blue Terra Mine, and it has hematite and calcite. And it's the Tarot of the Holy Spectrum. This is a golden rutilated cluster, chunky cluster with Mars power tarot. Mars is what it's about right now. And, I think the reason I chose these when I started having this idea had to do with, quartz is illuminating, and, we use it for connection and intuition, but at the same time, all of these have elements of grounding within them. So to me, it's just, what's the point of looking up and looking in if we're not like gonna root and use it? And I don't know. I mean, I guess there are points and times and place for everything, right? But like, this just feels right. So it's about standing firm and using what you know and learn. Okay, so I'll insert some still photos and see you at your reading. Okay, so yeah, I didn't mention in the intro that I was going to speed through all that. Time is of the essence, people. It just cuts down on upload time, and also, I mean, there's nothing going on. But I want you to see it happening, if you like. Okay, let's get going. All right. First of all, this first row is about the energy of, the tower that you have or have experienced or are experiencing or will soon type of thing. We have a Hierophant, the Knight of Pentacles, the Nine of Swords, and Wayne, which is a card that is exclusive to this deck. It is, I feel it's only fair to tell you, I of course looked it up, and it says, reflect, release, cutting ties, out with the old. So just, just to get us even started, reflect, release, cutting ties, out with the old for the waning moon. That is precisely what tower energy is about. So feels good. I just got chills. Hierophant, this is deeply spiritual. Like this is a tower. I'm going to speak about it in past tense, even if you're going through it now. Let me just say, we'll just talk about the tower like it happened, and you're standing there figuring out what to do next, and what you're dealing with. That'll just make it easier. Hierophant is telling me, when I ask about tower energy, that this tower energy was a faith rocker. This was yes, we talk about foundations crumbling, but like this one made you question everything you believe. Like that could be, who you are, what you want, what you've done, the choices you've made, what trusting your intuition, trusting your experience, and the things that you hold sacred. You know what I'm saying? Like with Hierophant, there's a feeling that lessons that you've learned, you almost felt like they weren't very helpful because of all the pain that you're experiencing, which is what this Nine of Swords is about. Nine of Swords, it's telling me that there was a lot of worry and anxiety, and just, Nine of Swords is the nightmare card. It's just like such a mentally anguished place. It's such a sweaty, upset place to be. And so, again, I'm just getting this feeling that this energy that you have gone through is a real faith rocker, and it definitely put you in a place of questioning everything, and in a place of not knowing, what to do, and just sort of being stuck in it, and maybe just being absolutely overwhelmed, really, like just needing a break and feeling overwhelmed. And then the Knight of Pentacles is speaking to me about your productivity was probably compromised. Like this is your ability to get things done and like provide and take care of yourself may have been slightly compromised, if not a lot. And there may have been, it could have been even around that, something that you do for your livelihood or just, straight up income may have been affected. That may have been the trigger for, I think this is flexible, so I don't want to say that you lost a job and lost your shit. I mean, like, either this was a trigger that made you question everything, or it could be that, your work was affected by this tower. you know, I didn't get a strong sense of the actual cause of this tower, and I think that's good because this is a general reading, and I would like to try to, you know, I've said before, I don't want to make things one size fits all, but I don't want to exclude people by starting to just wind down this one set reading, unless it just is screaming at me and that's all I can do. I would like to keep this a little more open to possibilities for different people. At any rate, we're talking about an event that really shook you and affected your ability to get by and your ability to go through the day to day, put you in like some sleepless nights and some terrible upset energy. And ultimately, with this Wayne card, this happened for a reason. This is natural. This is a cycle. This is you. You are this event is bringing you to the place where you're exactly meant to be so that you can let that shit go and move forward. And here is where I would like to talk about where you are now and moving forward. So we've got Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords is really ending energy. You know, it's like the end, needing to start over. It's a breakdown of everything that has been. So it really fits in well here. It speaks of ruin, you know, and so you may be still in that energy of looking around at everything that has been, but it seems the worst is over. I feel like you're on the upswing, you know, because here we have, and I turned it back sideways because of layout, but this is the King of Pentacles, you know, so here we have the Knight, and here in the kind of, that was the Tower, and this is you here now, and this King of, this is now an emerging, this King of Pentacles is saying that you're getting it back together. You're putting it back together. It's inevitable that you will, because that's what you do. I sense a lot of strength. With the Sun here, I sense a lot of life force and a lot of desire to be better, a desire to make things grow and be abundant and do things in life and not just get by. So it's just sort of in your makeup to graduate, you know, to go through bad things and find the sun in the end, you know. And so if you're standing in the rubble of your destruction in your tower and you're looking and the sun is shining, you are naturally going to feel, you know, if not in this moment, but very, very soon, the energy of pressing forward, the energy and the desire and the will, where you may have felt it slipping away for some time. You may have, but now it is coming back if you haven't started to feel it already. And, you know, the Hierophant has appeared here again on your emerging energy. It is all coming back to you. Everything that you know, were questioning about yourself and what you hold to be true, and your faith in what you know is coming back, and you're realizing, you're remembering who you are, and you're realizing that you know, you weren't wrong. You're probably, whatever it is that happened, you're probably beginning to see that, you know, it wasn't you. It wasn't all you. Like, there are outside forces in our lives, right? So I would like to look here at, this is the Mother card from the Archetype deck, and I was asking about the shift. The mother being number one in this beautiful deck too. So can you see that? How beautiful. This is a nest. This is a snake. Looks like knitted. This is a pearl. This is a hand. The Mother speaks of nurturing and care and the source of feminine divinity within each of us, wherever. And we all came from a mother's womb, you know, regardless of that experience with that woman in life. We all spent our time, we did our time in the comfy, watery, warm, perfect womb. You know, what a beautiful way to come into being human, and what a harsh way to come into the air. You know, do you think about that? I do. Like, you know, so regardless of, you know, there's a lot about, you know, the way we're born and our, you know, what that experience like planted in us. And, but I would prefer to look at, you know, for example, the fact that the moment you were born, all the planets were aligned a certain way. And I just happen to believe that that affects sort of your journey and the way you do things and the way you react and handle things. However, we can't, you know, we can't disregard the nurture of the mother, you know, not just the feminine divine and all of this that I'm saying we all get to experience just from our time in there cooking. There's definitely stuff that we have, and I am a mother and I have a mother like you do. And you know, I have said before, I recently found it, oh goodness, I don't have time to look it up. I found something that I wrote, and I've written a lot about mothers and motherhood, but I did find something recently and it just came to my mind about, you know, we don't really treat mothers like women, you know, like independent people, or especially our own. We treat them differently, like, you know, like it's your job. Or, you know, if it's our own mother, we don't necessarily look at them as like a woman in all the ways we might look at other women in the world, or even ourselves if we are. But we don't look at them as individuals. We don't often recognize their struggles. And I've often also talked about how mothering is just seriously it is the most serious responsibility in life. When you are doing that um, for someone, you're doing something to them as well. And we all have something. And I think about it as a mom. I think about my, you know, and you don't have to be a woman or a mother for this to resonate. This is because you have one and we have ties to that person. So like, I'm just trying to say, in your shifting, let me bring it back because I could just go on and on. In your shifting from whatever you experienced, take a look at your birth. You know, I don't mean like baby pictures and the, you know, necessarily like the stories you've been told. I don't. Take a look at that early connection and what, I don't expect you to remember it. I certainly don't. But somewhere deep inside of us, there was something we learned in those moments about being nurtured and about being cared for. And it is probably always necessary, no matter, you know, I meet people all the time who have really amazing moms and they don't think that anything, they just think their mothers were perfect and saintly and loving, and that's great. And, you know, but even still, there's, you know, I think about it with my son. I love him to death, and I, you know, I do anything for him, but I want him to like do things and know how to take care of himself and make choices. And he's still very young, but, you know, I'm walking a line. I don't want to do everything for him like a lot of mothers do for some of their children, especially males. And like, I just, you know, I guess I'm just saying there's a lot locked up in that nurture, the first nurture that you knew. And some of us don't know necessarily our biological mothers, or didn't. Maybe you were immediately taken, or maybe, you know, there could have even been maternal death. Like, anything is possible. But at any rate, we all experienced an initial knowledge, an initial understanding or grasp of what it is to be cared for and nurtured. And it's something we have to look at in our relationships and in our relationship to our own selves, because your relationship with your mother is especially related to how you feel about yourself and your self-esteem. And so, when I say that in those nurturing lessons that we first learn about, what it is to be cared for, we carry that through our lives and what we look for and how we treat our own selves. And just get the message that, through this, I think that you are being asked to consider what what you feel nurture means, what it has been for you, how you can better take care of yourself. I get the feeling that you're pretty good at it, just based on this energy here. You seem to be resilient. You seem to return to self. You know who you are. Don't forget that. This is the wolf also telling me that you know who you are, and you have good instincts about how to trust people, who to trust. And I think that could have been involved in this particular tower, that there may have been like breached trust. And that is the type of thing that will make you question your instincts and make you question your intuition, because you're like, I didn't think this person could betray me this way. If there was a person involved in your tower, I think there could be. But at any rate, just even thinking about the shift you're being asked to kind of like, something you're being asked to recognize through this about nurturing and caring is, this wolf card is telling me, I asked what you're being asked to see. And it is that no matter how independent you are not alone. None of us are. I am extremely independent, and I feel very alone in a million ways. I feel very misunderstood in so many ways. But the truth of the matter is, and it's something I've had to sort of embrace and learn more and more and more, especially even trying to do this kind of work, is that, I am a part of something. And I think I've spoken about it in readings recently. No matter how small you feel, you're a part of this big, huge thing. You're part of it just by being here. Everyone is. And, anything that you think is possible is possible. And that can go negative, that can be like terrible things. You can be like, I was talking to a friend the other day about watching Silence of the Lambs, and how it was so scary because it was real people. It wasn't monsters. It wasn't some like, it wasn't Jason from Friday the 13th. It was like a serial killer who put women in a hole. So we were just talking about the actual fear of that. So I guess my point is, like, you can run away with like scary negative ideas about how things are and what's happening, or you can choose to manifest more of what you really want. And this is a fire card. No, is it earth here? You know what? Yeah. No. Yeah. I believe this symbol is earth. Okay. In my mind, wolves are fire. So whatever. Earth and fire together are both, to me, manifestation, actually. So I just get a feeling that you have the ability to manifest a bright future for yourself, and a good, glorious life for yourself. And it just might, you've got to take care of yourself, and you also need to consider support around you. And I think it just appears in ways you may never immediately recognize. There's a lot of people in this world. There's a lot going on. And then with the hummingbird is always just pure joy, but also just back to this knowing of, how to take care of yourself. Because I've thought it was fascinating. You put a hummingbird feeder out. I've not done this, but you put this sugar water concoction out. Some people make it really red so that they think it's a flower or whatever, but it's not the red. It's something else. It's kind of like the same way all the ants find the food in my house. Like, hummingbirds know where to get the nectar, and they go and they find it. And I don't even, they're so tiny. And I'm like, where did you come from? Like fruit flies. I'm like, where did you come from? How did you get in my house? Were you in the fruit? It's weird, right? So like with hummingbirds, the message with hummingbirds is that you know how to take care of yourself. And you know that because you have stored all of your lessons inside of you. And even in those times when you feel like you have forgotten everything, or it was all useless information that didn't serve you and you still got screwed, that's not true. You still are moving forward. You're still this, look how beautiful this energy is over here with the sun and this Hierophant and this hummingbird. This is where you're headed. This is your emerging energy. You're fine. You're going to be fine. And it's really beautiful. And this release and letting go, that may still be a work in progress, but it's something that you can handle, and you know how. And, you know, just speaking of hummingbirds, I mean, just move along. Just move along. Like that's what they do. And I think, I don't know. It's a weird type of reading that I just decided to do, and I don't know where to stop, because we could just go on, and it's like I wish we were all just sitting around having coffee and, like, you know, talking about all these big things, because I really touched on things. I probably began to ramble, and I probably trailed off and got distracted, but that's just how it goes. I have a lot of thoughts that come through to me when I look at these images, and I feel these archetypes of what these cards mean. So forgive me if I was all over the place. Hopefully you got something from this. I'm going to stop, because I don't think you need any more, you know, cards. I mean, this is everything, right? Here you are, you're doing great. Things look good. This is a beautiful tower reading, honestly. Like, I've never done one like this, and I couldn't have asked for more clear messages about kind of like what a general collective group may have experienced, and where you could be now. Like, this is lovely. So my best to you. I think you're gonna be good, and I think you already know that. You're starting to remember that. And excellent. I'll see you next time, I hope. Hi there to group number 2. I want to start by saying this is an intense one. This one is very intense energy, what you've been through. The way that I was using my language in the first reading is to just basically speak of this tower as something you have just gone through already. Timeless in nature, synchronicity of things. We may, you know, arrive at different points. So this could be something that you went through farther back ago, or it may be happening now, or it may be coming up real soon, on the verge of happening. But I think for our intents and purposes, we're talking about this having recently happened. And, you know, you'll know how it works in your story. Excuse me, I have a kid. Okay, so the first row across the top from the Witch's Tarot is me asking about the energy of your tower situation or event. And Um, while it is heavy, it is also nothing you can't handle. I can say that right now. And this underworld card, when I ask about the shift that's happened, it's very heavy. Shark is heavy. But the good news is the outlook is fantastic. So I'd like to go through that with you. This deck has a lot of its own cards in it. So I of course have to look those up. Can't memorize everything, but this one in your tower energy is, I guess it's hell, Hel, which is just really, because it's weird little font, but it's just sitting here beside the underworld, and technically really the shark is the same. So like, wow, I'm just saying. But anyway, in the book I'm hearing, reading that it's fear, anxiety, and panic are the notes on this one. And then, on the other side of this energy, this tower energy, you have Selene, which is just happens to be the next number and is thoroughly shuffled. It's been used several times. And that's about revelation, fresh start, and new adventure. So I just want to say that I feel like whatever you went through, whatever your tower's about, was absolutely meant to be, meant to happen to you. And sometimes we get dragged through horrible pain and anguish, and we're unable to see why. Why would any loving creator do this to me, or divine forces, or guide? How could my spirit team let me down this way? Like, I understand these questions, and I say this because I've been in that spot several times. And like, this just strikes me as whatever has happened with you was hell on you. It was really uncomfortable, really painful, really awful. That's like Nine of Swords energy, anxiety and fear. It's awful. It brought up a lot of stuff. That's where we get to the stuff. Brought up stuff that Nine of Wands is about courage. It's about finding your courage and not giving up. And you probably had to face moments where you had to decide consciously that you weren't giving up, and you had to actually consciously decide that you were going to be strong and that you were going to find a way, and find strength. And you probably had to work to get through it. Like, it wasn't like you had the opportunity to just like tune out and like stay in bed for a week. I mean, maybe you did, but like, I get the sense that you actually had to face it, and you had to get strong, and you had to deal. And the Hermit here, speaking of being in bed for a week, I think it did put you in hermit energy, as far as like, I don't mean you did stay in bed for a week, but it did put you in a soul searching space. And it put you in the mentality of looking for the truth, and wanting to figure it out, like figure out why this happened to you, figure out how to move forward. And like Selene for the moon here, revelation, fresh start, new adventure. Like I said, that just tells me this, especially going from here to here, that just tells me it was something that was done for you, not to you. Sometimes the gifts that we receive from the spiritual realm are so insane. Like, it's just like, I've been through it. I do understand. I mean, I'll just be completely vulnerable here and just say, like, one of the first times I experienced this, I suffered a miscarriage, and I was in my 20s, and I had kind of like stood up to an unexpected turn of events and decided to like be strong and do it and go through with it and have the baby, and be work it out, like make it happen. And then I lost it just spontaneously, and I was like, how the fuck did I just get dragged through that? Like, I did what I was supposed to do. I stopped drinking coffee. I didn't drink alcohol. didn't smoke weed anymore. Like, I just did everything I was supposed to do, and I was taking care of myself and looking forward and saving money and figuring it out. And then it was taken away from me, and I could not understand why I could go through how I could go through something like that. And I do want to tell you, there is a death feeling in this tower. It could, you may have experienced some sort of death. That's what this underworld, in talking about the shift, I don't want to bounce around too much, but back to my story, is it took me a little time, a little healing and a little hermit time to recognize that I realized so much about myself, and I realized so much about my connectedness to spirit. It's lots of bigger stories, but the truth of the matter is that in time, I was able to look at the most painful thing that I had experienced as a young adult as a gift. And it had just given me so much clarity. And with Celine, I feel clarity. I don't remember what it said. I think it said revelation. Why did I keep putting it away? Revelation, fresh start, new adventure. Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me in that experience that was pure hell. And I'll never forget Rob Bresney's Free Will Astrology that week. And we're talking about the 90s. I've been paying attention to him for a long time. That week of my miscarriage, the writing for me, for my sign, was actually literally talked about going to hell and like the depths of the bottom and going there and like sorting it out, and like just how awful it was, but how necessary in a way, like for rebirth. These are these touches with death are often the hardest we have, whether you lose a pet, a parent, a friend, a child, a pregnancy, and other types of losses as well. Relationships, love, homes, material things. Like, yeah, sure. Like there's loss and grief, and like, I hope you can't hear my kid. At any rate, this looked like a very difficult one for you. A very, possibly tragic, possibly death related, but definitely grieving happening here, where you had to rise and be strong, and you have done some soul searching, and but like I said, you're coming out here with a total revelation. Like, whatever it is you went through that you consider to be this tower energy, you are coming out of it with so much clarity and so much new direction, like in how things are going to be, and how, and just, I always say, because I'm just a buzzkill, this thing happens over and over in life. We go through these over and over, so you're never in the clear. I have thought several times that my hells were over. There's no shortage of hell. There's no shortage of suffering. Hold on, coffee. Ooh. Okay, shark energy. When I was asking about what you're being asked to see, and I'm coming here a little sooner than I might have, because you're being asked to face your fears, and don't try to hide from the truth. Okay, let me get into your current energy. You've got the 10 of Wands here, which is speaking about feeling burdened, and just things being very heavy on you, and like you're carrying this weight, and you may still be feeling that. But here we have again, and this is a beautiful thing about tarot, this card, the Hermit, echoed from here. Your tower energy had the Hermit, and your energy has the Hermit. So to me, it's just confirmation of how important it is for you to search your soul right now. And like I said, don't hide from the truth. That's what that shark is saying. You need shark energy right now, in that, you need to come for it. You know what I mean? Like, come for the truth. And it's being revealed. It's been revealed. Don't be afraid of it. Face your fears. This underworld card, like this hell card, very much about your fears, your anxieties, all the things you dread and don't want to deal with and hope you don't have to see, you know. But anyway, this Hermit here, yeah, speaking about absolutely, you know, your time within where you're contemplating your, you know, your what you consider to be sacred, and you're seeking answers, and you're really just down in your soul, like sitting in there meditating on you know, everything really. And here on this particular card, it's a beautiful Hermit card. He's like got the lantern like many of them do, and just looking off, you know, wondering what's on the other side of this mountain, and sees there's the moon and it's partially obscured, and like, but it'll come back up. And you know, just like what you know, what you see in front of you, and what you don't know is ahead of you on the other side. Really just thinking about all of that and what you learned through this experience about how you don't know what's on the other side, but some things you can be sure of. The moon will keep moving. There is something on the other side. You know, these are things that you can be sure of. And, you know, there's a grace in accepting what, you know, how much control we do have and how much we don't. And much of it we don't. We just really have control over our own reactions to our internal and external jabs and pains and joys and etc. Speaking of joy, here's your 9 of Cups. This is your emerging energy right now. 9 of Cups, King of Swords. It's lovely. 9 of Cups speaking to me about your wish is coming true, and the meaning and the purpose behind everything that you're doing and everything that you want. You know, you're getting there. You are finding figuring out how to like harmonize the, you know, different parts of your life. You are moving toward, and things are coming for you, toward you and in for you, things that you really wish and desire, and because you deserve it. And I think that's important to say to you right now, because you may have been feeling like, I didn't deserve that, did I? What did I do to deserve that? Like, I get that sense. But King of Swords, you know, for emerging energy for you, excellent. You know, like you're really like getting your mind together. And here, this King of Swords, I haven't been showing the cards very close. This King of Swords has a book, and it says truth. And you know, that's what you're working with right out here under this Celine card, where we're talking about like revelation and truth revealed. And that there you are, like you see it now, and with that knowledge and with that awareness, that clarity, you can, you know, tune your mind, you know, in to how to move forward and how to in the future encounter, you know, battles like this. You know, I love how the King of Swords is always like chilling in his thoughts with this big old sword just in case kind of energy. It's like, yeah, I'm like studying right now, and I'm thinking, and I'm in my head, and you know, I'm chill, but like I do have this big sword, so it's kind of a badass energy, and you kind of have it coming up real quick, if not like today, emerging for you. And the oyster, you know, what a funny animal, right? Like, but the oyster card here is beautiful because you know, I asked what these animals want you to, you know, I asked Spirit what to use these animals to tell me what you need to see. And what you need to see is that inside this rough exterior, after all that turmoil, after all that abrasion, by the wonder of who knows what, these oysters make these pearls, and they're tucked inside, and sometimes they're hard to get to, and you don't know if you're going to get one or not when you, I guess, I would never touch an oyster, to be honest with you, but like, it just freaks me out. Plus it's a creature. I'm not trying to destroy it. I don't eat them. I've never eaten one, but you know, the pearl is inside, and for some reason we deem those as valuable and precious. So there you go. You know, like inside, after everything you've been through, after, you know, this shell you may have put around yourself moving forward in a way, because the King of Swords is a bit, has a cool air, a cool boundary, you know what I mean? There's an edginess, an edgy kind of fuck around and find out kind of energy. Like, it's just a bit of a badass, like I said. And like, you know, oysters are funny little things, but they're kind of little badasses too. They're like, I'm in my shell. But whatever, you know, like there's what? There's they talk about pearls of wisdom, right? And King of Swords is about wisdom as well. And actually so are these hermits. And really so is this, Celine. Everything is. You like upgraded in your wisdom. Whatever you went through is an experience that has just allowed you to ascend a bit. And honestly, like, it doesn't feel like much, and sometimes it's like, I'd rather just be dumb. You know that song, like that Nirvana song, like, I'm happy maybe, or I think I'm dumb, maybe I'm happy. I can't remember the lyrics right now, but like, there's this idea that, you know, like, the ignorance is bliss, right? You can't live like that. That's not the truth. That's not the truth. Bliss is enlightenment, and bliss is ascension. And I think that, you know, you have probably gone through a spiritual awakening in a sense. And I do not believe that there is just one of those either. I don't think, you know, I've talked about this before, like, you hear people talk about a spiritual awakening. I believe we go through, it's not linear. We go through, it's spherical. And I believe we go through hopefully several spiritual awakenings. What you think you just figure it all out and flip a switch and you're like awakened? It doesn't work like that. There's always more. There's always more suffering, and there's always more pain, and there's always more knowledge, and there's always more understanding. There's deeper intuition, there's deeper connection, and you know, there's manifestation. Which is just, you know, it's like it goes on and on and on. And then you're a wizard, and then you still die. So like, whatever. I'm just saying. Yeah, so like I said with the first one, this is a really weird type of reading, but you know, I like to do those. I don't know if anyone gives a shit. At the time of recording, I have like 29 subscribers, probably, you know, 3 or 4 likes a video. This is all a lot of work for me and time out of my life, and I'm trying to do something. You know, I don't know. I'm trying to stick with it and be true, but your support is easy. I can't see who you are if you like things. I can't see my list of subscribers. So if anybody's worried about someone seeing that you're watching psychic readings, don't be, because it's not, you can't see that stuff. Like, just like and subscribe. It's free, you know? Thank you for that. That was my little inner oyster. My oyster just told you what's up. All right. Okay, so hopefully you did get something out of this, and it looks like you've been through something, but I really feel, you know, even if you're feeling the heaviness of it now, you seem to already be in hermit mode, like seeking in your soul, and you seem to know, I think you understand what I said. I think you understand all that, and I see good things coming, and more than that, the clarity itself is a gift, right? All right. See you next time. Okay, so group 3, I guess I didn't mention I would be speeding up the layout just a lot, right? Okay. Okay. This one's a little more specific in nature. The Tower seems to be related to love with this one, whereas the others were a little more open, a little more general. This one definitely across the top. Oh, chills. Chills are confirming everything. Yeah. Across the top, I was asking the Witch's Tarot about the energy of the Tower situation, and I guess I should also just mention I'm using past tense for that. Like, it's something that I think you have just been through. It could potentially also be something you went through a little farther back. It could be something that you're going through now. It could be something that is coming up. But that's what I'll talk about it, the way I'll talk about it, as something that has happened. And then we look at where you are and what's emerging and some other questions that I have. But as for the energy of your Tower situation or event, the first card, Hierophant, which came out in the first reading as well, which just, you know, I said then, this is a shaking event, you know, like a faith shaking event. It very much may have made you question what you know to be true, what you feel you have learned, your connection to your own divinity. Like, some of these things, these questions may have been in order. But with the other cards, I'm also getting the possibility that this could have to do with a marriage or something very close to it, because you don't have to necessarily legally or church sanctified marry to feel a contract, a soul contract with someone, a sacred spiritual contract with someone. And you know, I get, there's Page of Cups, which just speaks of like romance and emotions, you know, and it just feels like your Tower situation was related. Shh. Sorry, hang on. As I was saying, the nature of your Tower situation or event definitely has an undertone of you being... Page of Cups is just making me feel like you were so sweet, and this is an emotional situation, and you come across as a very gentle and creative and romantic type of person who probably just was just really brought down in a situation with someone, and you just feel let down. And then Lilith is unique to this deck. There are several cards in this deck that are gorgeous and different, and they're really cool, and I have to look it up because they're unique to this deck. Okay, Lilith is about companionship, true love, and attraction. And I was really excited to get this card because to me, Lilith represents feminine divinity, which goes hand in hand with this, hands in hands with this Page of Cups sweetness that I'm feeling. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a woman, but the feminine divinity within you, like the feminine part of you, the emotional, nurturing, caring, creative, you know, not that the masculine side doesn't have some of those traits as well, but like this sort of like magical, I don't know, I'm biased. I love feminine divinity, and the reason I have to embrace it so very much is just to counter the patriarchy. Like, all these world religions, these major world religions have worked to suppress the power of women and feminine divinity, because it's frightening, because I say we because I am one, but like we hold a lot of power, and as females in society, we've had to face a lot of oppression and denial of what we are. And there's no shame in our power or sex or our divinity. Tower, the tower showing up here on your tower energy, which just really just reaffirms that this is very much, to me, like real kind of cut and dry, like painful. It seems like a love problem, a love, an emotional, romantic natured breakdown, you know, something that was likely unexpected, but has left you feeling, you know, here on this side of things with Lilith and the tower, like it's really, I believe, to awaken your feminine divinity a little bit more and your sexuality more, regardless of what you are. Like it's meant to awaken the darker parts of yourself that you may have shoved down and pressed away in sort of like preconceived ideas of what's okay and what's conventional and what's allowed. You know, we're breaking taboos here. Like you're sort of awakening your power, you know, and so the warrior card here is where I asked about what is this shift about? And it's, the warrior is almost self-explanatory, but it has to do with, it's funny, there's a snake here, and of course Lilith is related to the snake. I think it has to do here, especially with you know, I always think of warrior, some of the warrior energy that's coming through to me is to pick your battles, you know, like in that message I'm hearing for you specifically that some people just aren't going to be worth your time and energy. I don't know who that's for, but that's just what I got. And then but don't be down on yourself if you were wrong about someone, you know what I mean? That's what the Page of Cups and the Warrior together are telling me. Another thing about warrior energy is this depth and power, and I personally take it to the ancestors, like somewhere in your lineage, and this is blood that is still existing inside of you. I'm into like blood memory and ancestral memory, and I very much believe that we hold certain memory in our blood of what our ancestors experienced, and I think that leaves many of us to have experienced warrior energy, like real, like for real, because throughout the world over the history of time, people have had to confront actual war and fighting. And I don't mean like government caused war, I mean like tribal wiping away of people's kinds of wars. Like this is just, you know, and it, a lot of times this has to do with indigenous, you know, black and brown people having to deal with like their land being taken and whatnot. But also, you know, just remember some of this goes back, there's been fighting all over Europe as well. There's the Vikings and the Celts and the, you know, so even if you're like, as far as you know, like 100%, you know, white European, for example, you can't discount that you may have warrior blood. But that's me going off on a thing, and it doesn't really, I don't know. I encourage you to go deep. I encourage you to uncover your, you know, your power. And I think that's what Lilith is about. I think Lilith is about remembering the stuff that you weren't supposed to remember. And okay, so here we have sorry, I thought I just recognized this person. Oh my, I might need to take a break. Here we have your current and emerging energy. Okay, so for your energy, you have the King of Cups, which tells me that you are gaining emotional strength and you have a lot of love and a gigantic heart, and that you're open-minded, and you're like a really good friend to people. You're a good person. You're a loving person. You have a warm heart, a flowing heart. I was just looking at this guy with like a bottle on his head. Let's just say it's kombucha. I don't know what it is. It's just a funny image. Anyway, King of Cups is fun. King of Cups is love, and King of Cups is you know, a graduation from Page, like from a less innocent than the Page, because you've gone through some ups and downs, and now you're like, you love more and you love even harder, and then, you know, you're also gonna be a little more discerning. And like the King of Cups, where the Page of Cups is like, ooh, I like you, and like the Knight's like, I like you. Like the Queen is like, I like you, and the King is just like, yeah, I like you, you know, it's cool. But like that's kind of what you're doing, like, you know, as far as like your heart goes, you've grown, and you're like, did you like my little play that I just did? You've grown in your love and your romance and your heart now, and like you will be a little more discerning about where you give it, and a little, maybe not so quick, maybe not so easy, maybe not so curious anymore, but that's okay. And then Two of Swords is really just speaking to that too. It just has to do with like staying calm and reflecting, and just sort of like not making any decisions right now. Like you don't like, it has to do with a choice, but I know that's a two, probably a Roman numeral 2, but I see it as a pause button. Can you see that? See that little 2? To me, it's a pause. And it's a pause in specifically making any moves or decisions or commitments, really. Like you can kind of make moves or whatever, but like you don't have to do anything. Like there's just this good energy for you right now of feeling yourself, getting your groove back, and you know, you see these people like chilling. I don't know what they're doing. But even the colors on the card, these are colorful cards, but like I just get a really light, fun energy. This whole reading is a bit younger energy. Doesn't mean you have to be, but there's definitely a youthful, rejuvenated kind of feeling here with this, like, you know what, I'm gonna do me for a minute. And that's kind of what I'm getting from this. I know it's Two of Swords and everybody says it's one thing, but cards are for intuition. So your emerging energy is a little interesting because you have the Five of Pentacles and the Hermit. The Hermit has shown up in every reading, and I think it just reinforces how essential it is that we go within and we do soul searching, and we ask the questions, and we grow and we learn and we become more connected to you know, who we are. But like, and so I mean, this tells me that you're doing that. And look, she's sitting here with all these books, and like, you know, you're taking it all in. Like you're hungry for life experience, and I think that it's happening. And sometimes it can be a bummer, but you got it. And like this Five of Pentacles is telling me that, like, yeah, like you may be still for a minute in a period of sadness, and you may be feeling like the lack, you know, like this is Five of Pentacles. Like often we're talking about money stuff, but like honestly, I'm bringing this into the emotions. Because of the nature of everything. And I think that it has to do with sort of just being in an energy of like coming off this Two of Swords, like not really knowing what to do and not feeling like you have to do anything, like just sort of sitting in that, like you don't. And you know, this feeling that if you are still struggling with the feeling of like not feeling worthy or lacking, or not having that person or a new person, or any sort of like worry or concern that is bogging you down, go in here instead. Do work on the self. This is saying work on the self, This is telling me just take a look at yourself. This is telling me just upgrade yourself. Like, you're getting that across the board here. King of Cups, you got the love, your heart is growing, and you're, fully capable of doing much better than this other situation that didn't pan out how you expected. And I'm not trying to diminish the power, because this is power. If it's a tower, it's power. And like, if it's affected you, and made you break in a way or feel sad, like, look at the fact that it is bringing up your power, and it is bringing it up your warrior. Okay. And then this is getting me to the two animal cards. I asked for animals to tell me what it is that you're being asked to see through this experience. And the nightingale is very much about, and it even has this color, which is throat chakra. It's about the connection between your heart and your communication. And like, don't stop singing your love. Don't stop being Page of Cups either. Like, Page of Cups, I said here, like, you may have been feeling down, and disappointed and let down, but don't stop, even if you're like wising up a bit, don't give up on that part of you that I think exists, this creative, poetic, singing bird in you that wants to tell your heart to the world, because you will tell it to plenty of people who need to hear it. And I don't mean you'll have like lots and lots of partners. I just mean like there are a lot of people who need to hear, the what you have to say about the heart. And I get poetry, and I get just this idea of you just being a romantic, and your song being like beautiful to so many people. And then, so see that. And then the other thing you're being asked to see is that the lamb is gentle and peace. Be gentle with yourself. Stay gentle. You seem like a gentle person as it is. And, you can stay gentle and be peaceful. Peace is coming. And you can be in that energy that can sometimes feel a bit vulnerable. These are such sweet animals that you got. It just really speaks to your sweet nature that I think you have, and that you're being asked to recognize who you are and appreciate who you are. You can blend it with this inner power that's a little more like, grown up and stuff, but also like you don't have to like harden. You can be a warrior, and you can do so in peace and love. You know what I mean? Like, you can still stay who you are and rise and be powerful, and that's a wonderful thing. Like, I mean, I wish I was peaceful and gentle. Honestly, this is like, I get very Pisces energy, some Libra energy I feel, and I'm not looking at cards. This is the feeling I'm telling you, and it doesn't mean you have to be those things, but maybe they're in your chart somewhere. But like, it's just sweet. And yeah, yeah, don't forget who you are, and don't harden. Like, you can just remember, you can be your romantic, gentle, vulnerable self, and still be strong, and still grow and exhibit like your power, and your sexuality, and your everything that you've learned. You're just growing into a really dynamic force of a lover, to be honest. Like, you seem like a real I feel like as you mature, you're just going to be unstoppable and irresistible to so many people that it doesn't things like this, there'll be lots of that, and you probably have had more of that than this. Like, it's, if you live in that romantic energy, chances are you've hurt before, and you know you will again, right? So I hope this was helpful in some way. I think you've got it. I think you are figuring it out, and I think you're gonna just really get a lot of awakened energy. And don't forget this one, really. Like, just keep singing from your heart. Like, keep loving, and keep talking and communicating however you do to whomever you do, because it seems to be important. All right, so, you know, my best to you, and I do hope I see you again.